October 11th may not mean much at first glance, but when I say that what you do before that date can completely change how you experience what comes after, I'm not exaggerating. There's a shift in motion, a quiet, invisible rearranging of circumstances you might not notice yet. The truth is, life gives us small windows to pause and align before things accelerate. This is one of those windows. Why October 11th feels different. You ever had a day on the calendar that just felt heavier than the rest? Nothing about it stands out on paper, yet for some reason, it pulls at your attention. You keep glancing at it, wondering why it sticks in your mind. That's what October 11th feels like for so many people this time. A date that seems to carry quiet weight long before anything happens. It sits there like a hush in the background, subtle but persistent, as if something beneath the surface knows what's coming even before you do. There's this strange kind of pressure that builds in moments like that, the kind that doesn't scream but whispers. It's the pause before a big life reveal, the breath we all hold without realizing it. Nothing visible is shifting yet, but the air feels different. Maybe it's like the stillness before rain, or that slight pause in a conversation when everyone senses something about to be said that could change it. You can't name it, but you can feel it. There's movement below the calm, a slow rearranging you don't see, but somehow trust is happening. Think about the time before major results, waiting for a job call, an answer from a university, or the outcome of something that could reshape your daily routine. The days before, it are ordinary on the outside, yet everything inside you hums a little louder. You move through your tasks, but your attention feels divided. You sense the buildup, even when there's nothing yet to respond to. That's the same feeling hovering around October 11th. The world keeps doing what it does. Same coffee, same commute, same conversations. Yet something in the rhythm has changed tempo. That quiet tension isn't a sign of fear. It's a sign that a system is adjusting. In life, shifts rarely begin with explosions. More often, they start as invisible ripples, spreading through everything connected to them. A decision made weeks ago, a chance encounter, a thought you dismissed quickly. These are the early dominoes that move without fanfare, and over time, they start to converge, leading to a single, visible moment that seems spontaneous, but was forming all along. October 11th, then, may simply be the point where those ripples align. It's not magic. It's momentum finally revealing itself. What's interesting is how this happens collectively. You might notice more people talking about feeling off or restless lately. Plans get delayed for no obvious reason. Communication feels more delicate. These aren't coincidences. In interconnected systems, when one part begins to shift, everything else subtly readjusts to accommodate it. It's cause and effect in motion, multiplied across countless interactions. The beauty of it is, even when we can't see the full pattern, we're all participating in it. Now, the question becomes, what if this isn't about chasing meaning in a date, but about noticing how your own awareness responds to it? Because the real marker isn't time itself, it's attention. The sensation that something is about to happen might just be your internal compass, noticing change before it arrives. The system could already be moving, waiting only for you to loosen your grip on control. Sometimes, readiness isn't about adding effort, but releasing tension. When we stop resisting what wants to evolve, alignment happens on its own. So maybe what feels different about October 11th isn't the day itself, it's that it's waking something in you. Awareness heightens, small choices begin to matter more, conversations land deeper, the lightness or heaviness of certain situations becomes a feedback loop, telling you which direction carries flow and which holds friction. You start noticing more of these subtleties, like the way some opportunities feel calm and clear, while others drain your energy before they even begin. That's not random. That's data from the system you live in, guiding you quietly. This moment before October 11th, then, might not be about rushing to prepare something concrete. It could be an invitation to pay closer attention, to catch the undertones in your own life, the recurring themes, delayed plans, or gentle nudges you've been brushing off. Every signal, even the frustrating ones, holds a message in the pattern. If something larger is already in motion, then maybe the wisest move now isn't to push against it, but to move with it. Sometimes, syncing with what's coming means simply standing still long enough to feel where the current is already heading. The trust mechanism. How letting go reshapes the system. Most of us feel safe when we're in control. It's how we survive in a world that often feels unpredictable. When plans are clear and details line up neatly, our minds relax. But here's the strange part. Sometimes control doesn't protect us, it blocks us. That constant push to organize every moment, to shape outcomes before they're ready, can actually slow down the very flow we're trying to join. It's like pulling at the edges of a web that's still forming. The harder we tug, the more tangled it becomes. You can see this play out in small, everyday moments. Someone spends weeks perfecting a job application, tweaking every detail to match what they think a company wants. They hit send feeling cautiously hopeful. And then silence. No reply, no clear reason. Meanwhile, another person fills theirs out quickly, trusting that what's right for them will catch the right attention. Somehow, a few days later, they're in an interview they never saw coming. You could call it coincidence, but maybe it's just evidence that things unfold more easily when we stop trying to force them. It shows up in relationships too. One person tries to script every conversation, trying to prevent arguments before they exist. Eventually, the connection feels stiff, rehearsed, lifeless. Another just listens, responds honestly, and lets silence exist when needed. That second approach seems riskier, but somehow it builds more trust. That's the irony. Control promises safety, but often breeds disconnection. Letting go feels unsafe at first, yet creates space for real stability to grow. In systems thinking, there's a pattern here. When too much pressure builds inside any system, whether it's a body, a relationship, or an economy, the system pushes back. Every force creates a counterforce, and that feedback loop keeps everything from collapsing. So, when you or I overmanage life, the system itself introduces small disruptions to restore balance. Jobs fall through, plans rearrange, communication stalls. It's not punishment. It's life's way of bringing us back to a rhythm that can sustain itself. We think things are falling apart, but they're just rebalancing. Trust, then, isn't about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about stepping out of resistance. It's a decision to let the process breathe instead of tightening around it. That decision feels quiet. It doesn't come with fireworks, but it shifts how energy circulates. Suddenly, what felt blocked begins to move. People call that luck or synchronicity, but systems call it flow returning. The same way a river clears once rocks are moved aside, life clears when we stop acting like we can manufacture harmony. Think about how rivers behave. They don't fight their terrain, they learn it. They curve, slow, gather strength, and when needed, they carve new paths. Ecosystems act the same way after disruption. Forests burn down, don't rush to grow back. They pause, allow soil to heal, and only then do sprouts appear. Even in music, the power of a melody isn't only in the notes, it's in the breathing in between them. Those spaces guide how we feel the rhythm. That's the energy of trust. It's quiet, but shaping everything around it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening your grip long enough to allow alignment to reveal itself. When we stop clinging to one version of how things should go, we begin to notice how many other paths are available. Maybe that delay in your plan wasn't a setback, it was redirection. Maybe losing an opportunity was the system creating room for a better fit. Once you start to see that, surrender stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like collaboration. You begin to understand that life isn't something to manage, it's something to join. This shift in view changes how we move through uncertainty. Instead of anxiously controlling timing, we start to sense timing. Anxiety drains power because it loops in resistance. Trust amplifies it because it moves with the current. And right before a breakthrough, this difference becomes visible. Things that were taking forever suddenly resolve. People appear who can help. Small doors open where walls used to stand. It looks effortless, but it's really alignment, showing up once interference fades. As we approach what's next, especially the days leading to October 11th, this might be the moment to practice that kind of trust, to stop pushing the process and start hearing what it's already saying. Because when we finally stop demanding the timing we want, we begin to recognize the timing that's already been waiting for us all along. Recognizing the signs before the shift. Ever notice how certain patterns keep showing up in your life when things are about to change? You start seeing the same numbers everywhere, like 1111 flashing on the clock, or totals ending in the same digits. You overhear conversations that echo something already on your mind. Plans pause for no clear reason, or people reappear right when you thought they were gone for good. It feels random until you trace the connections later and realize everything was quietly signaling the same direction all along. Life tends to talk like that, never loud, but consistent enough that you can't help but sense meaning behind the repetition. Systems have their own ways of communicating before a visible shift happens. Think of it like a network humming under the surface, releasing small notes before the full song begins. Those notes might show up as delays, nudges, or coincidences that feel almost too eerie to ignore. We like to call them signs, but they're really data, tiny feedback loops showing us that something's adjusting in response to what we've been sending out. Sometimes the system pauses because it's aligning variables you can't see yet. You're ready to move forward, but the circumstances surrounding you are still catching up. Most people miss those signals because they're busy forcing the next step. We push schedules, we refresh inboxes, we text again to get an answer sooner. But when nothing responds right away, that silence feels unbearable, so we fill it with more action. What we don't realize is that this constant motion makes the message harder to hear. It's like talking over someone who's trying to explain what you need to know. The signs don't disappear. They just blend into the noise we've created by rushing. You can probably think of a few times this has happened. Maybe you were waiting on a call that felt like it would decide everything. The day passed, no call came, and the longer you waited, the more convinced you were that you'd missed your shot. A week later, an unexpected opportunity arrived that made much more sense than the first one ever could have. Or you planned something carefully, a trip, a launch, a big conversation, and it fell apart for reasons that made no sense at the time. Months later, you realized the timing would have been completely wrong. The system wasn't sabotaging you, it was protecting alignment. That's what resistance often blinds us to. When things don't go our way, we assume it's failure or bad luck. But if you remove the frustration for a moment, the same event starts to look like information. Every blocked door, every odd delay, every meeting that doesn't happen, those are all part of how the system recalibrates your path. If storms didn't reroute ships, they'd sail straight into danger. Life, in its own quiet intelligence, diverts us too. The trick is noticing the detours instead of resenting them. Calm observation turns what looks like chaos into guidance. Instead of asking, "Why isn't this working?" you begin asking, "What is this trying to tell me?" That single shift unlocks a different kind of awareness. You might notice a word repeating across different situations. You might get sudden clarity after journaling or taking a walk, like a message revealing itself only when you stop chasing it. Reflection gives the system space to show its next move. You start realizing the dots were never separate. You just had to slow down enough to let the pattern emerge. Even delays start to look different through that lens. You see them not as pauses, but as synchronization tools. When a project or connection stalls, it might be waiting for new variables to enter the equation. Someone else's readiness, a resource you didn't have yet, a state of mind you hadn't reached. By releasing urgency, you join the timing rather than fight against it. That's when synchronicity feels almost effortless. Opportunities appear that make too much sense to feel random. It's not magic. It's feedback responding to your stillness instead of your struggle. As we move toward October 11th, the volume of these signals often increases. Small coincidences feel louder, and emotions rise with them. That's the system drawing your attention toward what's ready to realign. These weeks aren't about doing more. They're about perceiving better. Every symbol, every delay, every moment that catches your intuition might be data pointing ahead of the curve. If you listen closely, you can sense where friction turns to flow. Preparation, then, isn't about adding another task. It's about becoming still enough to hear what's already moving toward you, quietly asking for trust. Everything before October 11th isn't about moving faster. It's about tuning in. There's a quiet alignment happening beneath all the noise, and rushing only blurs it. The more you let go of control, the clearer your direction becomes. Let the system, your rhythm, your intuition, your timing, lead for once. Release the steering wheel and notice how things start to line up when you stop forcing them. The world doesn't need your tension, it needs your trust. The greatest preparation isn't action, it's presence. The strongest move you can make right now is to breathe, stay open, and trust what's unfolding.